All right, so today we're going to be doing a quick review of a mount we just finished, and that's for the Alpinestars SM5 helmet. And you can see that here. Just finished this one up. It'll be going up onto our store within the next few weeks. So probably by the time you see this video, it should be live, but the link for this will be down in the description below. So check that out. A couple notes about this. This is a mount that's custom made specifically for this helmet. It took me, I don't know, probably 25 iterations to get this thing right because it's got like this kind of two curved surface both this way and this way. So it was a bit of a trick from a design perspective, but for the purposes of today's video, just want to talk about chin mounts in general, why we make them, and then just the kind of specific values of the mounts that we make. So when it comes to chin mounts, as a group of YouTubers and people who make clips for Instagram, things like that, we've experimented with a ton of different placements for video cameras and things like that. We've settled on the chin mount as the best place for that camera, and it's for a couple of different reasons. So obviously the chin mount is the lowest place on the helmet where you can still mount it and have it mounted to the head. That gives you this gimbal effect because your head's pretty much the most stable place on your body for a camera to be mounted, so you get a lot less shake. And you get more depth in perception because it's that lower spot. Now there's obviously 8 to 12 inches of height difference between where you would normally mount it, which is here on the top of the helmet, and that changes the perspective of the camera on the terrain and makes it look like there's a lot more depth to the field of view. For that reason, I really like the chin mount, especially when you're comparing it to like the side of the helmet or the top of the helmet or under the visor. The chin mount has always just made a lot of sense in terms of the quality of video that you get out of it. One other thing about mounting it to the chin specifically is that it's probably the most protected place on the helmet. Now, if it's mounted up on top, you can catch tree branches and things like that, and oftentimes what you'll see is a guy running a GoPro on top of his helmet, and the GoPro will be tipped back and it'll be just looking at the sky. But normally with a chin mount, you can see the camera. You can obviously see if it's still there, if it hasn't fallen off or something like that. But it's probably the least likely place to get hit. If you're gonna take a crash, you're probably gonna wind up turning your head to the side. For that reason, especially when it's an upright mounted chin mount, you can kind of rest assured that it's not gonna get hit in any kind of weird way. So now I just want to talk about this mount specifically and some of the things that we were thinking through the design process. So this mount is obviously specifically designed, like I said earlier, for this helmet. Obviously the mounting surface is completely flush all the way around, and it's mounted with double-sided 3M mounting tape, and that is very tough. It's also waterproof. You don't have to worry about it falling off. You can wash the helmet with this thing on. And we design all of our mounts to hold at least 20 pounds. Some of them obviously hold a lot more of that. We've had mounts that hold up to 40 pounds, but obviously the GoPro doesn't weigh very much, and even with the inertia, if you take a jump or something like that and you hit the landing, you really don't have to worry about these mounts falling off. They're really secure. But other than the mounting to the helmet, we've taken into consideration the distance that these mounting forks are from the helmet itself. And the reason is when you're riding the helmet, your eyesight is pretty much parallel with the top of the viewport here. And that means that the GoPro has to sit tilted back, especially if you're mounting it in an upright position. Instead of, like a lot of chin mounts, they mount it really close to the front of the helmet. So the camera is looking almost straight down at the ground. So you're seeing a lot of the handlebars and the front fender, and about 10 feet of dirt, but that's it. Whereas our mounts, we're sticking them out a little bit further so that you can get that tilt back angle and you can get a horizontal view of the horizon. So that's one of our main selling features. So you can see here with the camera actually mounted what that looks like. Obviously it's kind of parallel with the top of the viewport. You can actually tilt this back a little bit further than you would necessarily need to. But one of the nice things that we've incorporated are these tick marks here that's built into the side, where you can actually see as a visual indication where the helmet's tipped back to. So if you know which one of these tilt marks you would want to tip it back to, that way you can just set it and forget about it after that. It might be funny to do sometimes, like a selfie perspective. One question that we get asked a lot about our mounts is whether or not you can mount them upside down. Now, obviously you can, doesn't really matter, I guess. I mean, in some respects, this is going to be a lower perspective, so it's going to offer you kind of even more depth of field. The one thing that I worry about, is if you look down too far, the camera will hit you in the chest and probably tilt up the camera. It's up to you, but yeah, you can absolutely mount these upside down. One of the final kind of interesting things that we've incorporated into these mounts is a reverse screw direction. And the reason that we did that is because this battery door on the newer GoPro 8 and 9 we're on this side now. Normally with most mounts you'd run it from right to left, I guess depending on which direction you're looking at it, but you'd run it through that way, and then the screw handle here would be in the way of getting this door open. So we've gone and switched it to the other direction, and we find it's just easier to get to the battery door that way. So lastly, one of the things I wanted to touch on is how these mounts work with the media mod. You can fit the media mod in there. You can see, it's still, the camera view is still horizontal with the top, and the Hero 9 is a big camera. I can't imagine GoPro is going to make a bigger camera than this, but that being said, I said that when the Hero 8 came out. I was like, oh, they're only going to get smaller, right? Because, technology only gets smaller. And then they came out with this behemoth of a camera, and with the media mod, it's even bigger. With that in mind, unless GoPro makes a bigger camera than this, our mounts pretty much all fit with the Hero 9 incorporated with the media mod. One thing to note, so the media mod, they made it with the intention of being able to fit the screw in from right to left, because that's how they've made all of their mounts. And since we switched it, it doesn't work as well. We found that if you get one of these longer screws that you can find on Amazon, they're just longer aluminum screws, it works fine. You can still get a finger on there. GoPro, in all of their wisdom, decided that it should be the other way, so try to please everybody, but what can you do? Whew, sweating. All right, so that concludes all of my thoughts on this mount. If you're interested in it, if you have the Alpinestars SM5 helmet, look in the description below and you'll find a link to that there. Like and subscribe to this video if you like the content we're putting out. Also check out our Instagram page for us doing all kinds of goofy stuff, especially if you want to get a feel for the perspective of the footage that you get with these cameras. You can check out our Instagram. Pretty much all of our videos are being filmed using these mounts at this point. Check those out. Like and subscribe to our channels, and catch you next time.